the conference in 2024. We thought maybe Florida State would be that, but that did not happen. I think it's most likely that they will still announce an exit next year for the following year, but no new moves. But we thought it would be appropriate, as it is each and every Thursday, to catch up with the sports professor, Rick Horrow, and talk everything in regards to the business side of sports. How we doing today, Rick?
That's a pretty damn heavy introduction. That wasn't bad. I'm excited about this conference musical chairs that it's about to not end but continue yet for another year as far as college football is concerned, and maybe even longer than that.
Do you think the longer these teams try to wait to get out, the higher the fee, the exit fee will be?
Well, I think the exit fee is always negotiable, and I think the longer they wait, the uncertainty through 04 or 2024 will magnify. You know, the schools that are left, some say now have some options. Well, the rest of the Pac-12 doesn't have any options. The Pac-4, their option is just try to suck it up and survive, and then figure out what happens next year as part of the AAC, as part of a Mountain West stabilize and hold. But, you do know that now we have a little bit more time because it doesn't happen this season. And I guess we're now going to settle in, wait for another year, and then do it all over again.
Oliver Luck has come in as that consultant, so to speak. George Kliavkoff is there, but it sounds like they told him get out of the way. So explain, is Luck looking to either bring more people to the Pac-4 or just package those four and send them somewhere, or is he looking to try to do both and see what the best scenario is?
Well, it's the latter, and my knowledge and my knowing Oliver, he's very equipped to develop consensus. He was a great AD at West Virginia. He was working with the NCAA on a whole host of things when he was there. He's the NFL Europe, soccer, a lot of things. Now they need a consultant in addition to Oliver Luck. They need Rand McNally. Do you remember him?
Yeah, the good old map to find that roadway, yeah.
The map, because, by the way, if Cal and Stanford look at places, someone ought to tell them the ACC is another ocean. They are the Pacific. Let's go over the Atlantic. So we'll see what happens.
I'm real curious what you think about Condoleezza Rice going to bat for Stanford and George Bush, former president, going to bat for SMU. Is that going to be that much of an influence? Is it going to change anything, or is that just window dressing?
Well, it's cool window dressing. Those are two very important alums. They're not going to change the economics. They might have an important political position. And I don't know if, they're going to say, look, we're traditionalists. George Bush and SMU, remember the old Southwestern Conference? Well,
yes.
He may, what does he have with the potential? So what does the Southwestern Conference and the Dodo Bird and Pac-12 all have in common? They may be extinct soon.
Speaking of Pac-12, it sounds as though Oregon State, they're going to do everything they can to stay in the conference along with Washington State. Do you think there's a scenario at all that could keep this intact, that they add a couple schools, Fresno State, San Diego State, whomever that is, and they're able to keep it together?
Or they don't add anybody and they, let a couple other teams go. They and Washington State play in the conference championship every year. A bye to the finals. How's that? How about that one? Yeah. I guarantee championship game every year. Obviously, they got to look at the revenues. They got to look at the television. They don't have a lot of TV. The whole issue was, why didn't they take the ESPN deal when they had it? Well, it's a game of poker. And then what about now, when the best deal they could get was the Apple deal? Well, but the Apple deal was a subscription-based deal, and you can't bond, as we said last week, stadiums and otherwise because of that. And so we're back where we started. We're hunting for TV money.
Speaking of the of college football, the NCAA rescinding Jim Harbaugh's 4-game suspension, Rick. What are we doing here? What's the scenario? They rescind it. Are they going to come back with a harsher penalty? I saw this in your newsletter. I was just curious to see what the ramifications are or aren't if they don't suspend him or they pull the suspension?
Well, the deal's not finished, and so you could decide whatever penalty is. The suspension was like a plea bargain, right? And we're always looking to figure out how to have stability. His argument might be, I don't really need stability. I want to go after him. I don't think the idea is fair. The NCAA has nothing better to do these days, so he may stand on principle. To the outsiders, a 4-game suspension where they're playing 4 pigeons may not matter. But to him, he may be saying, look, there's a matter of principle here. I don't want to do this anymore.
Rick, can you do us all a favor and call Michael Crow, the president at ASU, and advise him to quit complaining about going to the Big 12 and telling everybody that he really liked the streaming deal, even though the deal was not really a full-fledged deal? He went on a podcast and just railed how he thought the streaming deal was really good and how the Pac-12 could have stayed together with that deal when everybody knows it was a lousy deal, and now you're in the Big 12. It just sounds like he doesn't even want to be there.
Well, look, first of all, he's an incredibly political person, and so I don't know what the podcast was all about. I will say that I'm sure, was appealing to some constituency. And second, don't tell me to do it. Tell Ray Anderson to pick up the phone. My God.
We just know who's got more clout.
Yeah.
Rick Horrow's got more clout.
Yeah. That's right. Rick Horrow joining us.
I'll pick up the phone to Ray, and you pick up the phone to Michael Crow. Okay.
Rick Horrow joining us. He's, I talked about a few weeks ago a book when the game was on the line. This is the guy that basically brought the Heat to Miami and the Browns back to Cleveland. And I see a story, Rick, yesterday and today about a former Anaheim mayor who agreed to plead guilty on federal charges related to his actions involved in trying to avoid a deal to sell Angel Stadium. And I'm just curious, in your years of experience in working with the politicians, do you think more of this has gone on that you just don't see or hear about in the public?
Well, politicians always have a protection of the public trust. Stadium and arena deals are high visibility, so there are 99% of the mayors that I've ever worked with are honorable, good, positive people, and there might be 1 or 2 that are not. The 1 or 2 that are not, if it's not stadiums, it's going to be some other deal that they do. And when you ask if it goes on, of course it goes on, like it goes on everywhere in life. Most of the time it does not, however.
So, Rick, in reference to that situation with Murillo, with the Coyotes looking to buy a 41-acre piece of land, a letter of intent, fully funded, no cost whatsoever. If anything, what would be voted on by the constituency? Would it be the bonding for the all of the facilities coming to the property? The zoning? I mean, it seemed like it'd be a no-brainer, but if they do vote, what would be some of those things to vote on since it's privately funded?
Well, just like the predicate for the Tempe stuff, if our situation right now is a completely privately funded arena, then the infrastructure is the piece of it that's left, and it's the transportation, and it's all of the things around it. And
3 minutes.
Case by case based on what city requires. Some require referendums for that stuff. Some don't. Some do or don't, but the politicians are saying, I don't want to make the decision, so let it happen. It's a pretty radioactive situation right now, to be sure.
So you're saying that no matter what, there would be some type of public vote for someone that's just trying to build something, that they pay for the land, they want to put it up, they still would have to have a vote in some cases?
No, I'm saying city by city. I've done a lot of these deals where there's not a lot of public money, but yet the politicians are saying there's public support and we want our voters to vote on it. And then a lot of the cities were saying, no, we don't need the vote. It's a combination of legal and political issues. And in your valley, I'm not going to be an expert on which city requires what. Obviously, it's a lot different. And one of the things I know about the Arizona situation is it depends on different
2 minutes.
What happens in Phoenix is not the same thing that happens in Tempe or Mesa or anywhere else.
So this spot, guys, Alma School on the 202
Uh-huh.
is where they're talking
That's
about doing that, which
East
is
of the
just
Cubs.
it's just kind of, I would say, east of where the Cubs are, Rick. And I think it's a good spot.
Yeah, is that Mesa proper?
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So and
Okay.
it's access to
Follow-
the 202.
Yeah. Here's what I would do then to take a look at it. Follow the Cubs financing of Sloan Park and see what they had as far as public support, what they required, what they didn't require, and you'll have some good answers as to what the building blocks for the coyotes
It's a
might
good idea. We should get on the former Mayor Smith, who was instrumental in bringing the Cubs to
he's by the way, good buddy, great Cub fan, obviously. You ought to get him on. If you get him on, and then ask me to be on, I'll my appearance be
1 minute.
for the past
1 minute.
40 years has been very reasonable.
Ain't that the truth?
Sure has.
We've
Thank you
we've
for
got
that.
we have had a smoking deal. We got grandfathered in, Rick. I mean, that's why we got grandfathered in.
Right, and the parking pass promise goes another day without being done.
Rick, we love you, man. Have a great week. Thanks for the time.
All right, man. Talk to you soon.
Rick Horrow, the sports professor. Again,